If you haven't heard about Anchor by Spotify, let me give you a rundown. Basically, it's the easiest way to make a podcast with everything you need, all in one place. Here's how it works. Anchor lets you record and edit podcasts right from your phone or computer. So no matter what your setup is like, you can start creating today. Then you can distribute your podcast to the most popular listening platforms, including Spotify, with a single tap. Anchor is also the only place you can publish video podcasts to Spotify. With Anchor, creators can earn money in a variety of ways, including ads and podcast subscriptions. And best of all, Anchor is totally free. That's right, it won't cost you a dime. Download the Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. You won't regret it. Welcome to Of Men, For Men. Here we'll discuss issues pertaining to the modern day man. Subjects like health, wealth, lifestyle, gear, and relationships. So join me as we dive into the world of men for men. Hello, and welcome to the Of Men, For Men podcast. I am your host, James Rodney Lemax. Yeah, come on. Yeah, that's right. Thank you. Thank you very much. Come on in, kick back, relax, grab yourself a coat. Yeah. All right, it's been a minute or two, and we're back in action one more time, one more again. We're going to try it and see what happens, all right? Man, lots of stuff going on. Just in the last 24 hours, we've had Mr. Elon Musk resubmit his offer to buy the Twitter. And I guess they have tentatively decided to accept that offer. And he could take over as quickly as later on this week, Friday, or first of next week, Monday. And I'm sure he's going to be eager to do that because I'm sure they're in there destroying all the evidence of all the nefarious things that they've done. As quickly as they can, you know. And apparently a bunch of the snowflakes, the ones that, you know, the libtards, whatever you want to call them, you know, have already bailed. You know, they can't work for him, you know. But that's, you know, a lot of what this social media stuff is. You know, a lot of it's run in what we call Silicon Valley down in, you know, Southern California, and that's, you know, where, you know, what we call the land of fruits and nuts. You know, it's like a bowl of granola. You know? I mean, look how screwed up California is. Lord have mercy. God, it's been so long since I've been out there. I was still driving a truck when I went out there, and it's beautiful. You know, you come over the mountains and you come down in the valley, you know, the wine, you know, where they grow all the wine, come down in and you're looking, it looks beautiful. But once you get down into the city, it ain't no different than anything else. And, you know, people out there, it's just a different breed altogether, you know. And, you know, over the years, you know, California used to be, you know, a wonderful place to live. But, you know, they've decided through their liberal policies to, you know, basically destroy that entire state. So a bunch of them bailed. And I know yesterday afternoon, yesterday evening, you know, people were losing followers on Twitter, and
oh, we're going through another conservative purge and this, that, and the other. I'm like, you know what, man? That's just all the damn liberals and the bots that were following you. Because you got a lot of trolls that'll follow you. I got a shit ton of them myself, that follow me. And I don't block them. I'm just like, screw it. If they want to follow, they can follow. I don't care. Because I limit who can respond. Because I don't want to hear all the ash and trash from everybody. I mean, there's ways, of, getting your message out there without, being bombarded by the Twitter blue check brigade. But everybody, they all whining and moaning and crying and all that kind of stuff. I'm like, that's a lot of that is just, the bots and the liberals and all of them deactivating it. They getting on TikTok telling instead of just, leaving the room, and closing the door behind them, they got to get on TikTok or what have you and make a freaking announcement that they're doing it. Nobody gives a shit. Just leave. This is not an airport. You don't have to announce your departure. Just leave. That's all you got to do. Nobody cares. But they all got a virtue signal, see? They all got to get online somewhere, somehow, and make it known that they left Twitter because, nobody cares. Nobody cares. I don't get it. I don't understand that. Why you got to do that? Just leave. Who gives a crap? Yeah. But that's what that whole thing is all about, all that virtue signaling and everything. So, a lot of people, of course, they giving Elon Musk a whole ration of crap. And I'm glad he bought it. He'll straighten it out, straighten it up, and he'll make it, profitable. He's going to wind up paying a little bit too much for it now. Excuse me, but I think in the future, it'll be worth, way more than what he's paid for it. He made sent a tweet, alluding to that it'll be the platform or the basis for his universal app X, right? So I was like, oh, okay. So, I mean, this is, a prelude to, things to come, and I'm all, I think he's a bright man. He's not perfect, man. Nobody is. He's got, faults and hang-ups and things just like the rest of us. But I mean, there's no denying that he's a hell of a smart man, So we'll see what happens in the future. I'm just glad that because he was taking him to court, because they had misrepresented it. They had misrepresented themselves as far as the followers and the bots and how many people were active users and yada yada yada. So he had taken him to court over that to try to back out of the deal because it wasn't what they said it was. So I think he had a change of heart and just said, screw it, I'll just buy it now. It's a fixer-upper, right? Like a house, or a car, a mechanic special, right? I'll just buy the damn thing, hell with it, and I'll fix it. So I'm looking forward to seeing what happens. I mean, I enjoy Twitter from time to time. I'm not on there all the time. I'm off and on. Kind of like Facebook. I'm kind of off and on. I'm not on there all the time. But I enjoy it. I enjoy a little bit of back and forth, and that's kind of what this podcast is about. It's about the back and forth. We no longer have back and forth nowadays. Elon tweeted a couple days ago about, and Trump, again, before him, said, hey, I'd be willing to lead a team that, could, negotiate a peace deal between, the Ukraine and Russia. And oh my God, and Elon made a tweet, and he, peace, it was a peace deal, and he had it was very simple, about 4 different bullet points down there. Very simple bullet points. They all seem very reasonable to me, but, I'm not a geo-globalist politician, you know. And, you know, he probably knows a lot more about that stuff than I do. But to me, it all sounded, you know, fairly reasonable. And these are the only two people, you know, besides, you know, some of them like myself, you know, like, hey, you know, Putin's talking about using frickin' nukes. you know? Yeah, and I don't think he's playing. And we're constantly sending money over there, these deals, you know. We have sent approximately, I don't know, I think about $80 million. No, I'm sorry, 80 million. That's a drop in the bucket. $80 billion. We have sent approximately $80 billion. And I got that information from the Will Kane podcast. He has done the research, believe me. Because he said it wasn't easy to find. He had to go to several different sources and weed it out. But approximately $80 billion so far. Just this year. Because we didn't start sending money over there till, what, February? So, now to put that in perspective, that's 10%. Because we spend approximately $800 billion on our own defense, United States military. $800 billion. That's almost $1 trillion. So that's 10% of that we've sent overseas. And that's in money, aid, humanitarian aid, and weapons. And you know, ammunition, weapon systems, firearms, what have you. All of that. And the problem is there's no accountability for any of it. And that's my biggest issue. I don't mind sending them, you know, helping them out, what have you. But, you know, where's this money going? Who's getting it? Where does it go from there? You know, is there any of this stuff being kicked back, which is the biggest thing? I guarantee, because there's no profit in peace. There's only profit in war. Right? There's no profit. Nobody makes any money in peace. They only make money in war. You know, with these firearms, with these weapon systems, you know. All these NGOs getting all this money, you know, for aid and all that. They make tons of money doing that stuff. NGOs, non-government organizations. And that's where all the stealing happens, right? The president just went to Puerto Rico and he, you know, said he was going to send them some billions of dollars, you know, because, you know, they, you know, that they didn't get the help they deserved, you know, a couple years ago, when Trump was in office and they had a storm. And yes, they did. All that money got stolen. They found all the water and the food and the blankets and the baby formula and everything that he had sent over there to help them in warehouses, and all the money, you know, got disappeared. My dad told me a story of a man who was working over there. He was a contractor. He was an electrician over there, getting the power put back up. And he was making money hand over fist. He was making too much money, you know. You know when you're making too much money. And at a certain point in time, he decided, hey, I need to get up out of here because this isn't right. You know, something is wrong here. You know, and he didn't want to be a part of it or, you know, be a part of an investigation later on down the road. So, you know, he DD'd, you know. Out of there. You know, he took his money and run, you know. And that's what happens during these disasters. They send tons of money and it all freaking disappears. You know, and very little of it gets down to the people that actually need it. You know, the money does not have the reach that you think it does. That's why, you know, when they, you know, send money to this organization or, you know, we're, you know, collecting money for, I don't know. My tax dollars are already being sent. I ain't sending no more. I was like, shit. Well, I want to send extra so y'all can throw that away. Because, you know, it's all usually some an NGO, non-government organization. And a ton of that money is wasted in overhead, you know, with salaries and raising more money and, you know, and all that crap. You know, very little of that money actually makes it to who it's supposed to go to. So, you know, I'm very leery of any of that kind of stuff. But, that's where we're at now. These people had come down. They came down on Trump and on Elon, and they're trying to broker some kind of peace deal here. But no, we can't have peace. And these people are talking, and Putin's talking about using nukes. We on the brink of a nuclear war. And then, of course, now you just had that Nord Stream 1 and 2 just got sabotaged somehow, some way, or at least that's what we're thinking, because some observatory somewhere in Switzerland or the Netherlands or something, at the exact same time, heard these explosions when when the gas started leaking out. So they're attributing one to the other because, it probably ain't a coinky dink, because, these pipelines it ain't just a metal pipe under the water. These things are encased in concrete and all that kind of stuff. They're, heavily fortified so that they can, withstand, any kind of, environmental stresses there, because you can't have a leak like that, because then that causes problems. But anyway, and of course everybody thinks we did it. And of course we're all saying that Putin did it, and I don't know why Putin would do it, but anyway, neither here nor there. I don't know the answer to that. But everybody's raising hell with these two because they want to broker some peace. And even the Ukrainians, Zelensky and a couple of his representatives, his attaches to other countries, got on Twitter and just raised hell. I'm like, you don't want some peace? You'd rather just fight it out. I understand, but if you can broker a peace deal that everybody benefits, the problem is they want to take Putin out. That's the deal. They want a regime change. Even Biden said it in passing, and then of course the White House had to walk that back. They're constantly walking back things that he has said. He just said just the other day that he was basically raised by Puerto Ricans because he was down there in Puerto Rico, talking about, he's going to give them some more aid for this just recent storm that they just had. The guy is... and none of that is true. And everybody knows it, but he doesn't get checked on any of it. It's amazing. The guy is a prolific and lifelong teller of untruths. And, it's... I guess, they just let him get away with it. You could see his wife in the background when he was making the statement. You could see that she had a reaction to when he said that she knew that at that point in time that he was telling a lie. I was like, oh, look, even she knows. See, because you could touch her reaction. You could tell. She knew it. She was standing there, just as nice and as you could be. And then all of a sudden when he started talking about that, I was raised by Puerto Ricans, basically. Her hands shuffled, she moved, and then she turned her head and looked the other way. It's like even she knows that he's lying. It's incredible. But that's where we're at. You try to have a difference of opinion, or you try to ask, a critical question, or you have a concern about something, and, on these social media sites, you just met with FU. Instead of presenting, some kind of an argument in favor of, their ideas. They don't want to argue ideas. They just want to attack you personally. It's FU. And I've had that happen to me. I was reading some reviews of, the podcast. And again, there was a critical one. And it was just a personal attack. It wasn't an attack on the podcast in and of itself. And you could tell the person gave themselves away because, they were like, well, even if I was a conservative, boom. I don't, espouse necessarily conservative ideas. I try to open up minds. I'm not trying to twist your arm into thinking the same way I'm thinking. I want everybody to critically think. I want you to think for yourself. I espouse that all the time on this podcast. I don't think people listen long enough or deep enough to get to that point. They listen to the beginning of it and then they don't hear the end, where I tell you, hey, it's up to you. That's how I see it. These are the facts as I know it. Those are my opinions. This is my experience. But ultimately, it's up to you to figure out how you want to deal with it. What's best for you. I don't know what's best for you. Only you do. But that's where we're at in society today. Everything's an FU. If you have a difference of opinion or you have a different idea. And let me tell you something. This thing about intelligence, people being smartened up. They got a college degree, or they've been to this school or that school. That does not make them smart. That does not make them intelligent. You know what makes somebody intelligent is ideas, the ability to be able to imagine, to critically think, to think outside the box, to come up with a different idea. If you're just going along with the flow, if you're just running along with the crowd, you're part of the problem. And some of us want to do that from day to day. We're fine with that. We just want to go along to get along. And from a day-to-day basis, that's fine. But there are some times, and there will be some instances where you need to stand up for yourself and you need to speak up for yourself. No matter what the occasion or situation is. It might be, something personal, something spiritual, something political, something family-wise, what have you. But you have to have the cojones to do that. You can't be timid at that point. What I say, you don't receive what you want. You don't get what you, unless you ask. You have to speak up. You have to say what it is you want. You have to express your idea. You might have a better idea. Again, you're not trying to force anybody's hand. But they may have not heard anything from that angle or from that perspective, and you might open up their mind. And that's all this podcast is really about, is just to open up the minds of young men and some women that are out there listening. And I appreciate all of them. I appreciate each and every one of you. To open up your mind and get you to think critically for yourself. It's not about my opinion or what I think. I give that as a part of the podcast, but that is not the deciding factor. You are. All right, my friends. I think that's about all I got for now. I don't want to go on too far. I appreciate each and every one of you. I appreciate your support. If you'd like to support the podcast, you can do so on the app that you're using right now with the support button. You can find the podcast on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter primarily. Also on Gab and Locals. Go check it out. I got it on that many, but I know everybody tells you to focus on one or two, but I got it on that many. So, because I know everybody's not on the same page as far as that kind of stuff goes. And I can't be on all of them, but I chose those, for various reasons. All right, my friends, I have been James Rodney Lemax, and you have been great. Yeah. All right.
This will be a weekly podcast. You can find it on the Anchor app and anywhere podcasts are available. We're also on Facebook and Instagram. I look forward to seeing you there.